So in an attempt to fix this broken, I believe it's called a crossframe number 7, you can see it's broken here, broken here, broken here, broken there, and down here as well as there. Okay, so you get an idea of the actual shape of what we're trying to replicate here. So if I bring it back together to some extent, you get a better feel for it. Apologize for missing running the camera and doing all of this together is a bit of a challenge. Okay, so I've got those labeled for ease of use in the future. So what I did here is I just took PVC and attempted to match that as well as possible. This is my first attempt, and it wasn't the best. As you can see, I didn't really gather that this would be downward sloping there. I put this center cross beam in there, which may or may not be usable based on where it is. I think it would be okay because number 7 is pretty far forward or aft, depending on the keel end, so it would be aft, so it's back there. I think it's going to be good. Number 7 would be behind that, so your feet wouldn't be going into that. So this center beam's not an issue, other than the fact that, hey, these are 2 pieces that are joined. They were cut and joined at that T intersection. Had I not done that, I could probably get more bend out of that piece to more closely replicate the shape of that crossbar up top. Okay, so that may be beneficial to cut that piece out of there and not have this one running piece, and you're going to get some more bend in this. Now, as we look at this shape compared to this, initially we get a slant downward here, which is a 90 degree there. So our 90 degree would be beneficial there, but instead of the one 45 degree joint that I put in there, I would almost think you need one here and you need one approximately here. I think you're going to want to avoid that because that's where a beam is going to go, where you could file out a little indent in your PVC in order to make that. So I think this joint is, that's workable too. But again, you would only go out from here. If we brought it out here, we would go here straight. Then we would use a 45, go all the way up to here, and use another 45 and go up to there. And I think we're going to have a pretty good product with that. And then conceivably, you could actually leave this piece in here, but extend it so it forces that piece up and it gives you a closer replication to that top piece. You could try it in a variety of ways. Then the question becomes, hey, these screws, I bet are going to match with some sort of attachment device inside the boat itself. Well, can I take those screws out and put them in the PVC? So if you take a look at this, this is one of those screws placed in PVC, and I just drilled the hole so it was a little bit smaller than the screw, and it's not, it goes to the other side. I wonder if I do it there. Nope, it's dark there. So trying to pick that up. You can see it fairly well there. So you take it to the other side. If I put something insert, like if I took a little piece of PVC, cut it and put it inside there and drilled through, I could have a support piece on the other side. It's going to be hard to drill those, but you kind of understand that if you put something, like if you can get a smaller piece of PVC, smaller diameter, and you can line this with it, you're going to have a better ability to drill into something. You'll have better drill stock inside. So you could go replicate the locations of this holes. There's a screw missing right there, and you can see I have it labeled down there. There's a screw missing right there. Unlike some of these other cross pieces where there's 2 screws at the bottom, this one only has a hole for 1 right there in the center. Okay, so you only need 1. So you have to find 1 more screw because 1's missing. So we can put those together, and then we can have a reasonable, I think, PVC cross piece that will do the job. Now this one may be close enough to work. I don't know. I don't know what the flexibility at that point of the boat is. If it is got some flexibility, you may be able to work this one in there. But I would say, the second prototype would almost be a working solution with some minor adjustments there. Oh, in case you're not familiar with PVC stuff, You can get this PVC cutting tool. Quite frankly, you can just use a saw too. You know, you want to have some symmetry in this, but if you know the size of yours, you can just take a miter saw, you know, and use that to get straight cuts. Even if your cuts weren't perfectly straight, you'd probably be fine. You're going to need some sort of cement, so you just go to, you know, I typically go to Home Depot because it's the closest, but Lowe's works too, or any other hardware store, and you grab some of this stuff, and then you just put that in your joints, and then you stick your pipes together. You know, it doesn't last long. I realized that I did make some mistakes here and try to pull some things out. I couldn't. The cement works. On these cuts down here, I had to angle them a little bit. I think I've got a piece of scrap around here. Nope, don't. So I just angled those so that they went in at a better, because taking them at an angle is very difficult to do. With a little bit of angle in your cut, it makes it a little bit easier to do. I think if I warmed up the structures, I could have bent them a little bit, and that could have been helpful too. But that gives you an idea what to do when you want to make the second prototype, the tools that you'll need, the fact that these screws would in fact go in here, and they're pretty darn stable. So you just got to make sure you're drilling a hole that's smaller and then screwing them in. And I can't remember what I found. Oh yes, this is the Greenland series of, what are they? The Folbot Incorporated out of Charleston, South Carolina. From talking to people that know boats better than I do, they say this is an awesome boat. So if you've got a broken spar, or as they call it, a crossframe, I think you can fix them with some PVC. Give it a try.